Hello everyone, welcome to VOD of Consciousness with Sientir. I'm Sientir, and I don't know what I want to talk about at the exact moment in time. I had some stuff that I had wanted to be talking about, I don't know, a couple days ago, but I've forgotten what some of those were. So I'm just going to start by saying we are here in Icetooth Cave, and we want to be over here-ish. Over here-ish where Ascalon City is. So we've got some walking ahead of us, and probably some fighting random enemies. Boy, just while I'm thinking about it, I had a super scare. I have a program that I wrote for myself called Task Tracker, which does, as the name implies, it tracks tasks. And I had some weird computer problem earlier today that, excuse me, super corrupted the task tracker data file. And so I was terrified that I lost all of the information that I need to be able to do stuff. And thankfully it turned out that I had not, or I had lost all the data, but thankfully I was able to do a restore on the file, which allowed me to be able to recover it. So I ended up being able to make use of to be able to recover that file, which is super, super helpful, super important. I need to get some more elite skills on this character of different professions, don't I? I should think about what sort of elemental skills I want. Is this the best way to get where I'm trying to go? Probably. Yes, let's just go ahead and cast Trogdor's Invocation. It says Rodgorts, but everybody knows it's actually Trogdor. I feel like I've got some serious weirdness in my throat right now. I kind of want to clear it, but that'll also make a lot of noise. I apologize for the lot of noise, but I think my throat feels a little bit less weird. It's been a while since I've done this, so I'm trying to figure if it's better to go around this way, and I think it is. Do I actually want to be running a Minion Master still? I mean, it doesn't hurt. Just thinking about my builds. So, anyway. Trying to my brain reoriented. Whatever's going on. I think I'm just gonna chill and play the game for a little bit, because that feels like a good way of getting myself in a better frame of mind. Been watching. I don't have a PlayStation 4, so I've been watching a God of War 4, Dad of War, or whatever you want to call it. Playthrough Lobos Juniors, for those who are curious. And it's been interesting, some of the stuff that they've done. They very much so have changed up the formula for how the game mechanically works, which I think makes sense. But I'm not sure if that, I think it makes sense to experiment with it. I'm not sure if it's delivering on what people were wanting from a God of War game or not. So as long as I think as long as the combat is in the right spot in terms of having the right sense of what God of War combat's supposed to be, that people will be okay with it. But I don't know. It's one of those things that's always kind of a difficult challenge, is to know how much should you try to change up what you had been doing when you have something like a franchise like that, versus how much should you go, I guess, with what you know people like. And this is another sort of challenging topic too, actually, not in the difficult sense, but from a personal challenge standpoint of what you want to do as a designer, is a lot of times you don't want to just repeat doing the same exact thing over and over again. I mean, it depends upon what you're enjoying about designing too, and what you're getting out of it. So often what you're going to want to do is kind of iterate on a formula, and not do the exact same thing, but be like, okay, what can I do to improve this? What can I do to make this interesting? Different things along those lines. I don't think I care about this well, I know I don't care about any collectors here. And the end result of that is a lot of times, even if fans really like a particular game or formula or whatever, the developer is going to tire of making it, if that makes sense. Just from the standpoint that they've done it so much. I should really be switching to /warrior so I can use something like flurry. It makes much more sense than trying to be a pyromancer. I mean, it was a cute idea, but elementalists are really, really good in these lower level areas. Am I better off going? I don't think it matters. Because enemies here have a lot less armor, so they take way more damage from elemental damage, whereas something like Chaos Storm, for example... Actually, I should probably be dropping Daedalon, because he's not doing a whole lot. But Chaos Storm is super weak relative to lower level enemies compared to what Elementalists can do, because the armor goes way down. And Chaos damage is... Oh, that's... Okay, whatever. Chaos damage is constant. It ignores armor. So if it says it does 21 damage on the tin, that's what it'll do, you know, not taking into consideration effects that lower damage. So, for example, Talcor right here has Shielding Hands, right? This reduces damage by 13. So it'll reduce that by 13 and drop it to 8 damage, which, you know, is noticeably less. But the Elementalist damage is affected by armor, so when you're in higher level areas, the enemies have more armor, so it's going to be drastically reduced. But when you're in low level areas, the enemies have low armor, so it's not going to be adjusted, which means that, it's going to be adjusted up. So when enemies have less armor, it's going to be adjusted up, so they're going to deal more damage than is stated on the tin. So like this, this Rodgor's Invocation is rated for 85 fire damage, but it's going to deal significantly more than that. So it just hit for 143. So that tells me right there that these things have like 30 armor or something. Because double this would be, I want to say 170 damage. So it's clearly up from that, right? It's clearly up from the 85, but it's not quite to the 170, if I'm doing my math right. So what that tells me is that they have somewhere probably in the 30 to 40 armor range. Exactly how much, I don't know. But anyway, the end result of that is that Elementalists are super, super strong in areas where the enemies are relative to you low level. Or where they're below like level 20 or whatever. So anyway, that's been random thoughts about that. So Elementalists become more valuable, and Fire Magic in particular has a lot of really powerful area of effects and stuff. That becomes really good. I mean, it's always usually pretty solid anyway, but like that just did 195 to that guy. That guy has like no armor against fire. It's going to be like 10. Or maybe even 0. Every 40 armor is half damage. So if you go... And 60 is even. So 60 you'll take printed damage, as it were. Below 60 armor, you'll take more than printed damage. Above, you'll take less. So like 20 is going to be double damage. Random... This has been random Guild Wars facts with Sientir. But I mean, those things are ice monsters, so it's not surprising. But anyway, yeah, as I was saying, like designers typically, you're going to have some sort of like even if you're doing the same sort of formula over and over again, like Pokemon, for example, you're usually going to want to try to iterate on that design somehow. So change things up, modify things, see how you can do it better or different. Because you don't want to do the exact same thing but more of it, if that makes sense. I mean, it's hard to do the exact same thing but more of it. Like, just like even when you're making levels or something, you're gonna want to do it in a different way or things like that. So, that's just a bunch of minions. I don't care. Those minions can just fight those guys. Fine. But God of War 4 is a large change relative to what all has gone on. So, I just find the decision to do that interesting, is all. Oh man, killing these guys before Giant Stomp is very nice. Okay, it's probably not on fire. Oh well. For my part, what I often want to do is kind of combine mechanics that I really like. So I really, really like the build system that this game has. The way that its attribute points work, where you put stuff in and it increases stuff and then increases how effective your skills are and things like that. I really like how that system works. I think it's really interesting. And I also really like the Dark Souls style of combat. So I have been thinking about how can I combine those two things together. Something where it's Dark Souls-like combat with a Guild Wars-like build system and things like that. So maybe someday I'll be able to make something that does that. That would be really cool, and I'd certainly like that. But even then, it's like, okay, let's iterate on these ideas. Let's do something kind of a variant of them. Did not get knocked over. That was a redundant statement, but whatever. This skill is actually kind of absurd because it does plus 38 damage, which is a lot of plus damage on an attack like that. For anyone who is wondering, we are making our way to Yakspend. Yakspend is the next town that we're going to stop in, and is kind of a refugee camp, I guess you could say, for Ascalonians. Technically, narratively, the Ascalonians are making their way over the Shiver Peak Mountains to Kryta, whereas we're doing the exact opposite, and we're taking kind of the long route around because we can't go through any of the missions in order to do this. So we have to go this longer way. So, like, for example, though, this skill right here gives you minus 20 armor, so it makes you take, what, 25% more damage, something like that. So. Let's see. Iron Horse Mines. Why are there champagne poppers? Oh! I bet I know why. I bet I know what's up. I don't pay attention to the login screen, but if I did, they are celebrating... Your goodness, what would it be? The 13th? It came out in 05. I think it came out in April of 05, so they're probably celebrating like the 13th birthday of this game, if I had to guess. Yeah. Traveler's Vale is the zone that Yakspend is in, for those who were wondering, by the way. Yeah, a lot of stuff that I'm doing is kind of more geared towards higher level zones, so I realistically should, for example, I shouldn't be having a Mesmer. I shouldn't, like, a Ritualist being Signet of Spirits is actually suboptimal. Let's see, I think this is, yeah, this is the way I need to go. And Minion Master is probably okay, but unnecessary. So I should really be changing up my party composition to take into account the relative low level of the enemies that I have to face here. So more Elementalists, for example. Honestly, I should probably switch up to a party of like elementalists with fallback. Yeah, that guy only took 88 damage, so he took slightly below, I think, rated damage from my attack there. I know, for some reason now that I started talking about how armor works, I'm like really observing damage numbers. Make of that what you will. Oh, those things are annoying. Passivism prevents you from attacking for a set period of time, which doesn't affect spellcasters because it doesn't stop you from casting spells, but is very annoying for a physical attacker like a Paragon, which is what this character is. I guess Minion Master's okay, but it's a little slow. It's like, I'm thinking about what would I rather him be doing. Excuse me. Okay, I'm just now noticing the time, so I'm going to take out this group of enemies, and then I'm going to call it for this week, where we have talked about what it's like to be a designer and stuff. So I'm going to pick up this gold, and oh yeah, that's right, we do this thing where we wave. So take care, everyone. Till next time, bye bye.